Pooh Shiesty believed that his fame and street reputation would protect him in federal prison, but he later learned that it actually made him stand out even more. After reportedly being confronted by members of the Gangster Disciples over perceived disrespect connected to a Lil Durk track, he chose to stay silent. But now, after returning home and letting some time pass, he has finally addressed the situation through a leaked song that has sparked serious conversation across the hip-hop world. What allegedly happened at USP Victorville is being described as far more serious than many expected, and we're about to break it all down.
And how I know, my GDs was up there. They got on him, questioned him about it, and bro, that ain't got nothing. I ain't on that. Ooh, that was just music.
But he was dissing though.
To get it back in blood or whatever.
Yeah, he was dissing all of that song, so I ain't gonna say it ain't that. It was that. He was.
Ain't that the song my POS me how I get out to the highest duck?
Yeah, that was disrespectful. I didn't like that.
Today we're diving into real federal prison politics that have had the hip-hop community talking. This isn't just internet drama. This is about how Chicago gang affiliations can follow artists behind the walls, and how one feature on the wrong record can completely change your prison experience. Before we go any further, let's be clear. For months, rumors have circulated online claiming that Pooh Shiesty was pressured by GD members while in federal custody. Many people brushed it off as social media gossip, assuming it wasn't real. That's understandable. But today, we're separating what's been confirmed, what's alleged, and what's been misunderstood, because this situation is more layered than what most posts made it seem. Between 2020 and 2021, everything changed for Pooh Shiesty. The Memphis rapper was at the peak of his rise. Back in Blood was everywhere, dominating both the streets and the charts, and he was landing features with some of the biggest names in the industry. However, one specific feature would later come back into focus after he caught his federal case. Now, this isn't just another story about a rapper going to jail. This situation involves long-standing Chicago gang politics, federal prison environments, and the legacy of a Chicago artist whose death deeply affected an entire community. And here's where things get complicated. Pooh Shiesty wasn't directly calling anyone out, but in street culture, and especially inside prison, association carries serious weight. Here's the background. Lil Durk released a song titled "Should've Ducked" featuring Pooh Shiesty. For those unfamiliar with the history, the song was widely viewed as a diss aimed at FBG Duck, a Chicago rapper associated with the Gangster Disciples, who was tragically killed in 2020.
Chicago rapper who was gunned down here on one of Chicago's ritziest streets. They say 2 other people were also shot when 4 gunmen, witnesses say, jumped out of cars and fired from just a few feet away.
The situation surrounding Duck's death shook the Chicago drill scene. He was killed in broad daylight in Chicago's Gold Coast area, one of the city's most well-known neighborhoods. The incident drew national attention and intensified existing tensions. On "Should've Ducked," Lil Durk used language that many listeners interpreted as deeply disrespectful toward Duck's passing. Even the song's title referenced Duck's name in a way that many felt crossed a line. Pooh Shiesty's verse, however, did not directly mention Duck. He delivered his usual style, focusing on his own experiences and street talk. But within prison culture, context often outweighs intent. Being featured on a record can be seen as supporting the entire message, whether or not someone personally voiced it. To understand why this mattered so much, it's important to understand who FBG Duck was to the GD community. He was one of the few GD-affiliated rappers to gain mainstream attention in a scene largely dominated by Black disciple artists like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and King Von. For many GDs, Duck represented visibility and hope. His loss hit hard. Chicago rapper King Yella, a known GD member who later stated he was housed at the same federal facility as Pooh Shiesty, explained this in interviews. According to him, Duck's death in August 2020 deeply affected GD members. In the release of "Should've Ducked" felt personal. Seeing Pooh Shiesty attached to that song was taken as participation in the disrespect, even if his verse wasn't directly aimed at Duck. It's also worth noting that Pooh Shiesty is from Memphis, not Chicago. There's a strong possibility he didn't fully grasp the depth of Chicago's street politics when he accepted the feature. To him, it may have simply looked like an opportunity to work with Lil Durk, one of the biggest artists in the game at the time. As King Yella put it in his interview, fame can cloud judgment, especially for a young artist on the rise. And that's real. When you're coming up and a major artist offers a feature, you're thinking about exposure and momentum, not long-term consequences. But once you're incarcerated, those records don't disappear. They can become reasons for confrontation. Fast forward to 2022. Pooh Shiesty was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison following a case connected to a shooting incident in Florida.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Says you're wanted with it. Mr. Williams, you were arrested for pursuant to an arrest.
He was designated to USP Victorville in California. A United States penitentiary is a high-security facility, not a low-level camp. Inmates there are serving serious sentences. According to individuals familiar with the system, federal authorities consider many factors when placing inmates, including affiliations and background. Some have suggested that placing Pooh Shiesty in a facility with GD members increased the tension around him, though the Bureau of Prisons does not publicly comment on placement decisions. King Yella claimed that inmates were aware of Pooh Shiesty's arrival and that conversations were happening behind the scenes. He also stated that he personally advised others to leave Pooh Shiesty alone, explaining that he didn't believe the rapper understood the political way to the song. However, not everyone shared that view. According to King Yella's public statements, Pooh Shiesty was eventually confronted about the track. When King Yella first spoke about this in interviews, many dismissed it as exaggeration. Even people close to Pooh Shiesty questioned the claims, but King Yella later provided documentation showing he was housed at USP Victorville during that time. What stood out to many observers was that Pooh Shiesty never publicly addressed or denied the reports. While silence doesn't confirm anything, in street culture it's often interpreted in different ways. Some took it as an indication that there was more to the story than online rumors suggested. What's clear is that this situation highlights how music, affiliations, and prison politics can intersect in unexpected ways. Whether through misunderstanding or association, one song became a point of tension that followed an artist far beyond the studio. King Yella showed a level of maturity and awareness in the situation that a lot of people honestly didn't expect. He could have easily told his people to go at Pooh Shiesty, or even supported things getting more serious, but instead, he took a different approach. He reportedly said, "Leave that man alone, he don't know no better." That's the kind of mindset that culture could use more of right now. People who are willing to calm situations down instead of making them worse. People who understand that retaliation and constant conflict usually just lead to more pain and more losses. But not everyone thinks the way King Yella does. Not everyone is willing to let things go. And that's exactly why situations like what allegedly happened involving Pooh Shiesty at USP Victorville continue to happen. It's also why we keep seeing young artists caught up in the streets or the system. King Yella also spoke about how Pooh Shiesty was housed in the exact same unit he had just been released from. He said Pooh Shiesty was on the same yard, in the same unit he had just paroled home from, specifically Unit 6B at USP Victorville. According to him, Pooh Shiesty is still there right now. That's how King Yella claimed to know what was going on, because he had just left that environment and was familiar with the people involved. Now let's get into what a lot of people have really been waiting for, Pooh Shiesty's response. After serving time, a leaked song surfaced where Pooh Shiesty finally addressed what went down at Victorville. In the track, he talks about his first day being transported and mentions issues involving the GDs. He doesn't come right out and say, "I got jumped" or anything like that, but if you read between the lines, it's clear he's acknowledging tension from day one. In prison slang, when someone says they clashed with another group, that usually means there was a confrontation of some kind. The fact that Pooh Shiesty even brought it up in his music suggests the situation made an impact on him. Most rappers don't reference their time inside unless it meant something, and by specifically mentioning the GDs, many people see that as him backing up what King Yella previously said, at least in a general sense. What's interesting though is how Pooh Shiesty framed it. He acknowledged that something happened, but he didn't present himself as completely powerless or overwhelmed. That's important for his image, especially in street rap, where perception carries a lot of weight. The leaked track didn't sensationalize things, but it did quiet a lot of the online debate. People can't really say nothing happened, and they also can't claim King Yellow is just making things up. Pooh Shiesty addressed it in his own way, through his music, which takes a certain level of confidence instead of just denying everything and hoping the story fades away. The bigger question is what this situation says about drill music, gang politics, and hip-hop overall. Pooh Shiesty is from Memphis. He's not from Chicago. He's not a GD or a BD, and he didn't have a direct personal connection to the FBG Duck situation. But by appearing on a track tied to Chicago drill culture and working with a major artist like Lil Durk, he ended up being associated with long-standing street tensions that go far beyond music. This is a side of the industry that doesn't get talked about enough. When you're a young artist coming up, you're focused on numbers, buzz, and major features. You're not always thinking about the long-term consequences of certain lyrics or collaborations. But in the streets, and especially behind bars, music doesn't just stay music. Songs get remembered, lyrics get taken personally, and sometimes they become reasons for people to test you or challenge you. For anyone unfamiliar with Chicago drill politics, the conflict between GDs and BDs has been around for decades. It's deep-rooted, generational, and very serious. The loss of FBG Duck was a major moment for the GD community, and emotions around that are still very real. So when Lil Durk released Shoulda Ducked and Pooh Shiesty appeared on it, some people viewed that as disrespectful to Duck's memory. According to these narratives, that decision followed Pooh Shiesty into federal custody. Pooh Shiesty may have believed his fame or reputation would shield him, but in the federal system, status doesn't carry the same weight. Everyone is just another inmate, and affiliations, real or perceived, can put a target on your back. And this situation isn't just about Pooh Shiesty, it reflects where drill music has taken the culture as a whole. We've seen too many artists lose their freedom or their lives connected to music-related conflicts. Names like King Von, FBG Duck, and others come up often, along with ongoing legal situations involving major artists. These conversations have been happening for years, but the industry keeps rewarding controversy. Violent imagery gets streamed, disses get replayed, and then people act shocked when the real-world consequences show up. The lesson here is pretty clear. Be mindful of the songs you jump on. Be careful of the beefs you associate yourself with, even indirectly. Understand that decisions made for a feature or a moment can follow you anywhere, even behind federal prison walls.
Pooh Shiesty likely thought he was just hopping on a hot record. He probably didn't imagine ending up locked up with people who took that song personally. But that's the reality of this game. At the same time, Pooh Shiesty did have to face consequences. According to the situation, he was still confronted and made aware that some people weren't okay with his involvement. Now that he's addressed it in his music, it'll be interesting to see how things unfold, whether this chapter is truly closed or if there's more to come. Looking ahead, the real question is what happens when Pooh Shiesty eventually comes home. He still has time left, but when he's fully free, will he take this as a lesson? Will he move differently, both musically and personally? Or will he continue with the same approach that put him in this position? Despite everything, Pooh Shiesty still has strong fan support. His music still performs well, and his name still carries weight. But the experience at Victorville is likely something he won't forget. It's a reminder that fame and money don't protect you from every situation. Sometimes the consequences show up in ways you never planned for. One thing is certain, Pooh Shiesty is still young, still talented, and still has time to grow. This situation could have ended much worse, but he made it through and now has perspective that many others never get the chance to gain. A lot of artists don't walk away with a story, they become a warning instead. At its core, this isn't just about a rapper being challenged in prison, it's about power, loyalty, consequences, and how blurred the line has become between entertainment and real life. The fact that Pooh Shiesty chose to address the situation in a song shows he's not running from it. He acknowledged the tension, stood on his experience, and made it clear he's still here. King Yella's role also matters. He reportedly tried to de-escalate things and showed a level of maturity that isn't common in these conversations. But even with that, Pooh Shiesty still had to deal with the reality of prison politics. Sometimes, no matter who tries to help, you still have to face the situation head-on. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Pooh Shiesty's situation and how he handled it? Do you think he should have stayed off that record, or was it just bad timing and circumstance? And do you think King Yella did the right thing by trying to keep things from getting worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more breakdowns on hip-hop's most talked-about moments, and remember, every move in this industry comes with consequences. Hopefully, Pooh Shiesty's experience serves as a lesson for the next generation of artists. Think carefully about the politics behind the music, because your choices can follow you anywhere. Peace.